Okay, today we have the Xiaomi 12 Pro. This is a phone that actually launched a couple of months ago, but only in China. But now we do have the global release, so a lot more countries are going to have access to this phone. So let's get this thing unboxed and take our first look at it. And we have a little kind of a gift wrapping here on this particular review unit. Let me get that stuff off of there. And now let's get the lid off, and boom, there we go, inside of the box. So this is the most premium option right now. They do have the Xiaomi 12X and also the 12 that you can buy, and those are cheaper versions in this 12 series. But there are rumors, I think, of an Ultra. I don't know if they actually officially confirmed that yet, but that might be coming out. But for right now, this 12 Pro is going to be the top of the line here in this 12 series. So also in the box here, we do get a nice little case here, and I'll put this on the phone a little bit later. All right, so now we have the phone sitting all pretty in here waiting for me. Let me take this out and let's see what else we get inside of here. And boom, look at this bad boy right here. So this is a 120 watt wall charger right here. And now obviously this is not the US standard plug right here, but yeah, 120 watts wired charging is what you can get with this phone. And it does also do 50 watt wireless charging and also 10 watt reverse wireless charging, so you can put another phone on the back of it. Now it does suck they didn't send the US standard for this, so I can go ahead and test this out right away, but I guess I have to take their word on it that this is going to be very fast charging. But all right, let's get to the phone and get this thing unwrapped. We have some specs right there, and of course, I mess up that. Like, this is a very sloppy unboxing. I'm a little bit rusty. It's been a little while since I've done an unboxing here, but I'm gonna get things in check here in just a second. And now, look at this. I love this color. So this is gray, obviously, but it also does come in purple and blue, but I'm really liking this gray right here. And it has like a frosted type of like ashy finish on the back of it, and ashy in a good way, not like me sometimes where I get ashy in my hands. Anyway, it feels really nice, and of course this is going to be great at kind of hiding the fingerprints on your phone. Now, I can't remember if this is Gorilla Glass Victus on the back, but I do know for sure you do have that on the front display. But one thing I will say is that this camera module is very nice and clean. I mean, this is a very clean looking phone, and honestly one of the best designs that I've seen so far this year. It is subtle, it is sleek, it is stylish, but it's not trying to do too much. And it does have like the text on the back here at the bottom, which I typically don't like, but everything else on this phone, including that, is actually just done in a very neat way, so I don't mind it. Now on the bottom you will find a USB Type-C port and also a dual SIM card tray, which you don't find that on every smartphone these days. And at the top you will see an IR blaster, which you also don't see on every phone these days. But yeah, that will allow you to control things like your TV and other stuff, and you know, that's always kind of cool to have. All right, boom, so I got the phone set up here, and the first thing we're going to look at is just this display here, which is a 6.73 inch AMOLED display. This is LTPO, which means that the technology inside of it will allow the refresh rate to go from 1 to 120 hertz depending on what you're doing with the phone, and that's going to help with battery life. But you can go into the display settings here, and then you can go to the refresh rate, and I'm keeping it in auto mode to allow it to go between 1 and 120 hertz, but you can go to custom and then choose from 60, 90, and 120 hertz. And you'll be surprised how many companies don't give you all three of these options. Sometimes they only give you two, and sometimes like with the iPhone, they just say, hey, let us handle it, and you just have to accept that. But yeah, you have these options here, but I'm going to keep it in auto. Oh, and the software running on this phone is MIUI 13, and that's running on top of Android 12. So you have a really good base of new features with Android 12, but Xiaomi put their own spin on what Android should look like. And I have to say that the interface so far is really clean and unique. And I do have a software update waiting for me, but I'm not gonna do that until after this video. And so far the software is zooming along here, and I like all the little touches, but there is one thing that I don't like, and that's in the wallpaper app or the wallpaper settings. It actually has like an ad that shows up here and there inside of this particular section. And yeah, I just don't think that ads should be in a basic settings kind of menu here, but you do have that from time to time. But you do have a bunch of different live wallpapers and things to choose from if you can get over that. And the reason why this phone is snappy is that it does have the Qualcomm Snapdragon 8 Gen 1 processor inside of it, which most of the top smartphones coming out this year will have, at least on the Android side. And then this phone does range from 8 to 12 gigabytes of RAM. This phone does have 12. And then also it does go up to 256 gigabytes of storage, which this phone does have that maximum amount of storage. So you have some decent specs here that are going to be able to power a lot of the things that you want to do with this. Now this phone does have quad speakers inside of it instead of your normal two speakers, and that doesn't necessarily mean that these speakers are going to sound better than everything else, but let's give it a quick listen right now. And now let me switch over to the iPhone 13 Pro. Okay, so with that quick little test, I will say that the speakers on this phone are a little flat compared to the iPhone 13 Pro, but if you're not doing like a side-by-side comparison, they're gonna sound good. And you do get an under-display fingerprint scanner with this phone, and it's pretty snappy. Very responsive. It gets you in nice and quick. And yeah, just going back to the design of this phone, I'm loving the curves and just the overall feel of this phone in my hand. Again, with this nice matte finish on the back of the phone. I've been touching it here for like the past 30 minutes or so, and you don't see any fingerprints, which is great for video creators like me. But since we're on the back of the phone, let's take a look at this camera module here. So you do have a triple camera setup here, and the specs are pretty simple to remember. So you have a 50 megapixel ultra wide camera, 50 megapixel wide angle camera, and a 50 megapixel telephoto camera. So they went 50 across the board. Well, except for the front facing camera, which is a measly 32 megapixels. I know, right? How did they go with only 32? I'm joking. But yeah, you have a lot of megapixels to work with. And in the camera app, you can choose to enable the 50 megapixel mode with the cameras. And also you have a bunch of other different modes in here. And I really like that Xiaomi gives you some new options as far as like being able to capture content. You have a vlog option that will allow you to have a different type of edit to your videos that you record. And this phone does give you the option to record video in HDR, or you can turn it off. And if you do turn on HDR, you can only record 4K video up to 30 frames per second. But if you do turn off HDR, you can record 4K video up to 60 frames per second. And also you can bump that up to 8K at 24 frames per second. And when it comes to photos, you do have an AI mode, which will allow it to recognize different scenes or objects like this plant right here. And then according to itself, it will modify the settings to be able to take the best photo. This sometimes works with phones, sometimes it doesn't, but I'll definitely play around with it. But what you're seeing right now is just some photos and videos that I quickly took outside. I don't know how they look right now because I'm recording this video, but here are just some photos and videos that I'm taking with this phone so far. So look, Xiaomi has been pretty good with their photography and especially videography lately, and this phone does have like a night video mode, so it should be better at taking videos at night. But overall, I've been pretty happy with Xiaomi performance with smartphones, so I'm assuming that these things do look pretty good. And so yeah, the cameras on this phone are definitely going to be one of the things that I really test out a lot more, especially against other flagships, because it does have some features that you hear about other phones, like with the ultra night video mode, as I mentioned before, and then also you have the portrait night mode with the front facing camera, which is going to be pretty nice to test out. But overall, I think this phone so far from my first impressions is pretty solid. I'm liking the design and build quality. The display is great, but I think this is off to a good start, and I think the suggested retail is about $999, so right at that $1,000 price tag, so it has some stiff competition. Yeah, anyway, this is the Xiaomi 12 Pro here. What do you think about this phone? Leave your comment down below. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell along with that like button if you do like this video. And like always, I do want to thank you for watching, and I will catch you later. Peace.